friends, and welcome to another WSIB Truth Matters with Joe Machado on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Hope you're enjoying your day. For those of you who have watched the previous 4 videos in this series, thank you for that. I hope that you were able to draw useful information from those videos. And today is the 5th and last video in this series, which basically was pretty much exclusively around the WSIB's last LOE, or the final LOE review, also referred to as the 72-month lock-in review. It is an extensive policy, and as I'm sure you can see, it does involve many different factors to account for various different situations. The policy seems to be pretty clear overall. Are there certain things that I would disagree with? Yes, of course. But overall, it seems to be clear, and it can only be effective if it's applied properly and in a consistent manner, which I find is absent, entirely absent, in the WSIB's decision-making process. And so I wouldn't be able to do justice to this very important section of the Workplace Safety and Insurance Act without analyzing and reviewing a tribunal decision, the Workplace Safety and Insurance Appeals Tribunal decision on the subject, to once again just demonstrate the vast contrast between how the tribunal looks at the law and policies and how they apply the law and policies when making decisions, and the Workplace Safety and Insurance Board decision makers. Right from case managers to appeals resolution officers. You know, I find, in my experience over many years, I find that if most people given the opportunity and in the proper circumstances will go out of their way to try and do the right thing, to do what's best for others, for themselves. And when you have a path, when you have a clear path and you have instructions, clear instructions, such as the Workplace Safety and Insurance Act and board policies, although some of them I think are out of touch with the Act, but overall, and you have that available, it makes it that much easier to do the right thing. Because doing the right thing, if applying the law properly and consistently in each instance, and by following the law, it's not that difficult. And whatever the end result may be, and when you fail to do that, and so blatantly go against the law and those clear instructions, such as board policies and the one that I've referenced in this entire series, it's just inexcusable. I think it's morally and ethically wrong, because you put people in a position where they are now treading water. You're pushing them down when they try and come up for air. You're shoving them down when you fail to do the right thing by applying the policies in the proper manner. And in this case that I'm about to talk about, this tribunal decision, they did just that. It took 5 years for this person to get justice. What happened in those 5 years? Because the bills kept coming. House, mortgage payments, rents, whatever. Putting food on the table, car payments, all of those things that we work towards to try and keep our lives moving in the proper direction and with as less stress as possible. What did this person, the decisions, the monumental decisions that they must have had to make in that 5-year period, I can't even begin to imagine that. And all because two people, a claims adjudicator, a case manager, and an appeals resolution officer failed to apply the law properly. They just failed. They blatantly failed. I don't think that's just morally and ethically wrong. I think that's just criminal. As you can tell, I'm in one of those moods where I don't know what to make of these fucking idiots. Sometimes I just don't. But anyway, I'm going to share this with you, and I think by the end of it, you're probably going to go, yeah, I get it. I understand why the guy's pissed off. Because you probably find yourselves in this situation or something similar when dealing with these people that are just the epitome of incompetence and just carelessness. So, Section 44 of the Workplace Safety and Insurance Act is very clear in terms of what the board is not authorized to do at the 72-month lock-in review. And the policy is also pretty clear and appears to be consistent with the Act. And so, Policy 180306, this is what it states in terms of the only circumstances where the WSIB can revisit that 72-month lock-in decision. And so, basically it states, the WSIB shall not review a worker's loss of earnings benefit more than 72 months after the date of the worker's injury unless, before the 72-month period expires, the worker fails to notify the WSIB of a change in circumstances or engages in fraud or misrepresentation in connection with their claim for benefits under the insurance plan. That was not the case in this decision that I'm going to talk about. Or the worker was provided with a return to work plan with training and the plan is not completed when the 72-month period expires. Or when the 72-month period expires, the worker and the employer are cooperating in return to work activities, including return to work plans without training, or the worker is cooperating in healthcare measures. Or after the 72-month period expires, the worker suffers a significant deterioration in their condition that A, results in a redetermination of the degree of a permanent impairment, B, results in an initial determination of a permanent impairment, C, is likely, in the WSIB's opinion, to result in a redetermination of the degree of the permanent impairment, or after the 72-month period expires, the worker suffers a significant temporary deterioration in their condition that is related to the injury. In this decision that I'm about to review, none of those circumstances were present, none, zero. And even a lay person familiarizing themselves with this decision would look at it and say, they must have been out to lunch, or they just tried to screw this person, because there's no other plausible explanation. So the decision I'm going to talk about is decision number 218/17, made on February 10th, 2017. So it's still a relatively recent decision, particularly when Bill 99 came into effect in January of 98, and this legislation came into effect. So the summary of this decision basically reads, the worker suffered a low back and shoulder injury in August 2005. In 2007, the board granted the worker full LOE benefits. In August of 2011, 4 years later, The board decided to defer the final and LOE review while it investigated the feasibility of work transition plan. The plan was not developed and confirmed until September 2011, after which it granted loss of earnings benefits based on deemed earnings in the SO, suitable or occupation, of receptionist. The worker appealed. The board determined that the worker was unemployable in 2007. Nothing had changed by the lock-in date, except that the worker was out of the workforce for an additional 4 years. At the lock-in date in August of 2007, the board had not developed a work transition plan. Rather, it only advised that one would be established in the future. There was no basis to defer the final review, and the worker was entitled to full LOE benefits at the final review. The appeal was allowed. So, my friends, as indicated before, none of the circumstances under which the WSIB can revisit the lock-in decision as per the law under Section 44 of the Workplace Safety and Insurance Act, they had absolutely no reason whatsoever to change that. So, for context, I'm going to give you the background just in point form of what happened with this worker. The worker was employed part-time, 24 hours per week, housekeeping aide with a long-term care facility. On August 24th, 25, she slipped while stripping wax from a floor, injuring her right shoulder and low back. On April 26, 2007, she was granted a 29% NEL award, moderate. The accident employer was unable to offer permanent job accommodation, and the WSIB referred the worker for a labor market reentry program. Before the LMR program started, she was determined by the WSIB to be unemployable. She was advised by the case manager on September 20th, 2007, that she would be paid full LOE until she was 65 years of age. In August of 2011, a mere 4 years later, she was advised that the WSIB had reviewed her claim and no longer considered her to be unemployable. Okay, go figure. She was advised that she would be offered a work transition program with a suitable occupation of receptionist. So they already determined what she was going to do. Work transition plan began in November of 2011 when she was enrolled in retraining for administrative assistant. Retraining was completed on November 2012. On November 23, 2012, she was advised that she would receive partial LOE benefits based on being able to work 24 hours per week in the suitable occupation of receptionist. She objected to this decision. On November 24, 2012, the ARO upheld the case manager's decision. All of this well after they had already determined that she was unemployable. Wow. Somehow she miraculously improved her condition and got all of these skills that 4 years later she's now employable. So here's the decision of the case manager to pay full LOE. And in that decision, the case manager basically states, in 2007, the worker was referred for a labor market reentry assessment in order to determine a suitable employment or business. On August 9, 2007, the LMR assessment recommended that the worker was considered to be unemployable and should receive full LOE until the age of 65. On September 20, 2007, the WSIB wrote to the worker and advised that, quote, I have received the LMR plan proposal and transferable skills analysis report. Noting your compensable restrictions, it does not appear likely that you will be able to secure or sustain appropriate employment based on your significant limitations and restrictions. Therefore, it is my opinion you remain unemployable and as a result are entitled to continue to receive the full loss of earnings benefits at this time. This loss of earnings decision is effective August 27, 2007 to age 65. So essentially, the case manager, when making that first decision regarding LOE to 65, relied on the vocational assessment report, considered significant restrictions appropriately pointed out in her letter as supported by the 29% non-economic loss award. And so everything with that decision was in keeping with the law and based on actual facts and evidence. Facts meaning the results of a vocational assessment, and evidence, that factual information, along with a 25% NEL, confirmed 29% NEL for the low back. All based on facts. So this is where the train went off the rails, which it should never happen. And I still shake my head as to why. But anyway, 4 years later, the board decided that, hey, let's just try and throw bullshit at this person and see what we can do. This case manager had the audacity to write this down in a memo. And the vice chair and the tribunal appropriately picked up on it. And the appeals resolution officer should have picked up on it too. And should have sent it back upstairs and said, hey, what the hell's going on with you? You're not paying attention here. Go back and get rid of this shit that you just did and reinstate that decision that was made previously, which was the right decision. So here's what's in that memo. The Workplace Safety Insurance Board has recently enhanced our decision-making review process to include an annual review of LOE cases as well as the final review process 72 months post-injury. Recently enhanced the decision review process? You can't do that. You can't enhance it. Section 44 is clear. It's right there. The policy is clear. What the hell kind of enhancement did you, anyway. These reviews are intended to ensure that we have done everything to assist clients in mitigating the wage loss resulting from their workplace incident, not accident, and to obtain updated information regarding your case. We have also adopted a new approach, all right, so I'm liking this language, to assist workers to return to the labor market. The Work Reintegration Program provides return to work services designed to meet the needs of clients like you. Section 121 of the Workplace Safety and Insurance Act allows the WSIB to review or reconsider all of our decisions once I have received the medical reports from your specialist, Dr. Ramos and Dr. Payendish, as well as the physiotherapy discharge report. I will be re-reviewing your claim for a referral to the Work Reintegration Program. So the mind was already made up, and the cat's out of the bag. We have, oh my goodness, we have enhanced, we've enhanced powers. I often refer to their crystal ball, where they can go in and, even though we all know it's bullshit, and look into the future. They like to project. But no, this enhanced review process, this came from the fat cats upstairs, the ones that are, bloated with sucking back the life out of injured workers that they screw over. And they're over bloated payments and bonuses and salaries and just sickening. It's maddening that these people can do this kind of shit and they still pull these stunts. They don't have any enhanced powers. You're just abusing the system. You're taking the law and you're using it to abuse people. Those are the enhanced powers. Wow. When the vice chair reviewed and made an analysis of this case and rendered a decision, I can see certain hints of his disgust and disdain for these people. And it's atrocious, really. And here's what the vice chair concludes. I find that as of August 24, 2011, that the WSIB determined that the lock-in date would be deferred while it investigated the feasibility of work transition plan. Said plan was not developed and confirmed until September 22, 2011. That situation is not set out in either law or policy. If a work transition plan had been underway as of the lock-in date, August 24, 2011, the board would have had the authority to defer the final review. I do not find that deferring the final review so that the WSIB can determine if work transition services would be appropriate conforms to the statutory intent. I therefore find that there is no statutory basis for the WSIB to review the workers' LOE in November 2012. Of course there isn't. A layperson could conclude that. Moreover, in this case, the board had already provided LMR services in 2007, only to determine that the worker could not work as a housekeeping aide and was unemployable. The board had no new information as of August 20, 2011 to cause it to change its earlier decision. I can find no evidence to suggest that this had changed by August of 2011. If the worker could not perform modified duties and was unemployable in 2007 and lacking any new information, I find it would be unreasonable to conclude that with the passage of time and no advances in the worker's impairment, that she could re-enter the workforce. I therefore find that the worker remained unemployable as of November 24th, 2012. Well, of course. Of course. I mean, holy shit. Like, where was this case manager and where was the appeals resolution officer who obviously had his head shoved up his ass? Because he should have caught that. He should have, like I said before, sent it back upstairs to the fat cats and said, hey, nothing changed in 4 years. We considered this person employable 4 years ago based on facts and evidence. What the hell are we still doing with this file? Spending money and resources to re-adjudicate something that's already been done, and it was done based on the facts. Wasting money and people's times. And more importantly, putting this person through more appeals and through more time without money. These people are just sick. They're fucking sick in the head. And they continue to pull this shit. That's why the appeals branch of the WSIB needs to go. And somebody, injured workers, can get to the tribunal faster when claims adjudicators make these asinine decisions on a whim based on what the fat cats are telling them to do so they can put more money in their pockets and continue to screw over injured workers. I did tell you, over the 4 videos of this series that I was going to review a decision that I think will make you feel as disgusted as I am. It's appalling that these people continue to screw people over by just arbitrarily applying law or making shit up as they go along. Friends, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. It's 5. I'm going to set them up in a playlist on the channel, so if you have to refer back to them, it'll be easy to locate. As you know, I started this channel about 5 months ago, and I think this is my 90th video. I've been in this industry for over 30 years, both as an injured worker and representing injured workers, thousands of them all over this province. And I've been dealing with these people for a very, very long time. And there isn't any kind of bullshit hat trick that they have that I don't catch up. Or catch, I should say. They just make up shit. And, but it is what it is. And, you know, I know there's a lot of outrage out there about this specific topic, and there should be, because this has been around since 1998, and they're deeming and applying sections and policies that don't exist, or that they twist to fit their own views of how things should be done. It's wrong. And so with this channel, my goal is to reach every injured worker in this province, past and present, to help to convey information based on my experiences in dealing with these people, the successes of my paralegal firm, and what my paralegals were able to achieve as well, and the failures, because you have to learn from both. But we know what works. And yeah, 30 years after having been injured, I despise these people. I just have absolutely nothing but disdain for them, because they screw people over without even thinking twice about the harm that they're causing. So if you're a subscriber to my channel, I appreciate that, and I thank you as well for sharing my videos. If you're not a subscriber and you're new to the channel, I welcome you to become a subscriber. It's free. Hit the notification bell and you get notified every time I come out with a new video. And believe me, there's a lot more information that I have to impart. And I do it willingly. I do it without being paid for it. But I do it because I believe it's important. And I'm tired of people getting screwed by WSIB. These are my views based on my experiences. And if the WSIB has a problem with them, they know where to find me. They know how to deal with it, and they know that I'll promptly tell them to go fuck themselves. But yes, so, and apologize, well, actually I don't. I do occasionally throw out the F-bomb, and it's the only way to really sometimes demonstrate the level of disdain and disgust I have for these people. So I also have WSIBsettlements.com. I invite you to have a look at what we do there. I created a series of tools and processes that I used with my firm for many years that were successful to help our members succeed with their claims. We're helping many, many people, and we have thousands more to help with our program at WSIBsettlements.com. And again, my friends, as always, I do appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. And as always, take care.